Richard Sherman has been an ex-Seahawk for a little over a week, but he still has a lot to say about his former team, more specifically his former coach. Sherman was a guest on the Uninterrupted with Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins and said that Pete Carroll's message had become stale for the team's longer tenured players. Here's the quote. A lot of us have been there 6, 7, 8 years, and his philosophy is more built for college. 4 years, guys rotate in, rotate out. And so we had kind of heard all his stories. We had kind of heard every story, every funny anecdote that he had. And honestly, because he just recycles them, and they're cool stories, they're great for team chemistry and building, et cetera, but we had literally heard them all. We could recite them before he even started to say them. I don't think this is unusual in the NFL.
No, it's not, especially when, I played for the New England Patriots my entire career. Did I know what Bill Belichick was saying before he said it on certain days against certain teams? Absolutely. I didn't see it as stale. I saw it as necessary. Necessary because once you get up and you're 8, 9, 10 years with the same guy, the same organization, that message still has to be learned by the younger players. And you have to hear it again and again and again. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you know the message, you know the system, but actually, Richard, that head coach is actually counting on you to help teach it now rather than to complain about it. So, maybe Pete saw this also, and it was a time for change. And all of you that don't believe in my message anymore, and I can see how you think I'm stale, it's time to go. It's time to change. But
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I cut you off there.
Because you have to take it upon yourself as a veteran player. Once you form a professional relationship with your coach and you get to know each other like that, you finish each other's sentences, teach this next guy. That's helping your organization and your coach, and you win later in your career.
He's talking about the same anecdotes and the same jokes. On Sunday Countdown, we used to sit there and Mort would call out the lines that Boomer would say. It didn't make them any less great or him less any entertaining. There was a certain comfort factor there. And not only that, he had done it for so long and was so good, you come to expect it. It's comforting. And the players are professional enough to rise above that, challenge themselves, know that they're not playing largely on guaranteed contracts, and get the most out of their performance with the comfort factor of those jokes and anecdotes and comfortable feeling that we've seen around there.
You do hear sometimes when a coach has been a certain place a long time or is getting to the end of his tenure there, it's time for a change. His message isn't resonating anymore. That's a thing you do hear. I think it's a leap to say that that's what's going on with the Seattle Seahawks. I think the trouble the Seattle Seahawks had this year was injuries on defense and a continued failure to build an offensive line and a run game around Russell Wilson and generate consistent offense. I think that's been the problem with the Seahawks. But you look at what they've been doing the last couple of years. They've been setting up for this transition. They drafted 4 or 5 defensive backs last year. They knew that the cap numbers on Sherman and Thomas and Cam Chancellor and all these guys were going to go up to significant levels this year. The changes were going to have to be made, and they've been angling this way for a while. And obviously, Richard Sherman's departure is a part of that, and he's.
You could almost see it happening. You could almost see it happening, bursting at the seams in terms of the outspoken players and how they were challenging various things like that. I played for Pete Carroll too. His message is solid. His message is championship. He's 10 times better a coach right now than he was in New England. I can recognize that.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with the formula, I would say. But now Richard Sherman can enjoy a new message from Kyle Shanahan.
It speaks to Susie's greatness. We cannot predict what she's going to say here.
You never know.
Never stale,
Susie.
How about a bump?